What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another trading analytics video. So this week was a massive week in the market, and we had our biggest down day in what, 2.5 months, following Jerome Powell's non-committal speech at the during the Fed rate decision. He didn't really give investors what they were talking about. They were expecting a very fully dovish Powell, and we didn't really get that. And the market reacted accordingly. And then on top of that, news of a potential government shutdown happening, and the market goes, well, you can see it right here on the screen, right? We just completely fell off. SPY lost, what, over $20 in a day and a half, and caught support at a very key level, which we'll talk about in a moment here, and led to some very interesting setups on additional tickers in the marketplace. So let's jump right into it here. You can see here that SPY, again, we lost a critical level. We lost the uptrend line and rejected from that, created a nasty triple top, really. Lost the neckline on the triple top, fell all the way down on the Powell speech, and we were just free falling until what? Where'd this bounce come from? Well, if you look at this yellow line here, and I'll zoom out here in a second, you can actually see that that is the daily trend line that we bounced off of on SPY. Caught support there at 581 and reclaimed a very important level at 590. We closed above 590, which, if you're going back to the hourly chart, you can see here that puts us in a nice little bit of a span. Right here, if we're able to reclaim 595 puts us back on a pattern to go back to the upside to close the gap here at 600, and what happens over there remains to be seen. But the fact that SPY was able to reclaim a nice little bounce off of the daily trend line shows that bulls had some level of support, and they fought very, very hard and ensured they did not lose their footing completely. Now, let's jump over to another ticker here, and that is actually going to be Amazon. Right, so taking a look at Amazon, it's actually forming one of my favorite positions overall in the market. We had the double bottom bounce, we actually got the neckline break, and we have a short-term resistance here at 226. The good thing is that we were able to close above the neckline on the double bottom on the hourly and the 15-minute chart as well, and we held pretty nicely in the formation of this tight consolidation on this bull flag that's forming right here on the hourly chart on Amazon. Likely what this is going to do once Monday's trading session opens is that we're going to see a bit of volume increase to push us over this 226 line, and once that 226 line is reclaimed, then that puts a neckline retest from the double top from earlier, which sent us in our free fall of 228 well within the cards. So I do think as long as the bulls and the buyers show up in the pre-market section of Monday's trading, being a short week, and historically speaking, the Santa Claus rally happens the week of Christmas, and obviously Christmas is this upcoming Wednesday. So we have a lot of historical precedent and historical catalysts for a continued bull run, as well as the fact that we caught a good level of support on Amazon as well in conjunction with this bull pattern. So again, I'm leaning towards that 229 retest on Amazon coming within the next few days, and I do think that's going to bode well for this and similar names. Speaking of similar names, let's jump over to another one here, and we're going to take a look at Microsoft. One of my favorite overall tickers in the market, and I'm actually going to take a zoom out and look at the daily chart for this one here. So when you take a look at Microsoft's one day, you can see here that we basically, even with this massive sell-off off of this downtrend line at 454, we were able to catch support here at 428. 428, as you all know, if you guys have watched any of our previous videos in the past, is a very, very, very important level for Microsoft bulls, and a loss of 428 puts 420 in the cards, which 420 puts 415, 415 puts 407 in the cards for the ticker. So the fact that we were able to hold 428, and not only hold it, we were able to bounce up and retest 442 prior to the end of day rejection closing around 437. I think it bodes well again. So essentially that retest down to 428 was basically a neckline retest of this double top or this double bottom break that we had, leading us to the 454 trend line retest in the first place. So we got our neckline retest, caught a bounce from there, and now we're shaped up similar to Amazon in a bullish pattern on some of the shorter time frames. So with Microsoft, I would not be surprised if we retest 445, and if we're able to reclaim 445, that puts 450 back on the cards for the ticker and puts us on pace to look to retest the all-time high levels of 468 at some point near the end of this year, which is only about a week left anyway. But that's Microsoft. Finally, let's take a look at my favorite ticker and my favorite position, or one of my favorite positions, I should say, and that is Nvidia. So we're going to take a look at this on some of the shorter frames before jumping back over to the daily. So you see here on Nvidia, something that's very, very important for us to note is that similar to Amazon, we have a bull flag consolidation happening here on the 1 hour time frame. Now, Nvidia is very important to watch overall because, as you know, throughout the entire year of 2024, it has been the market leader, and the semis have seen a little bit of a sluggish end to 2024, but I do think we can get back in the bull camp on Nvidia if we reclaim a very key level. The reason why I'm not super bullish on grabbing calls right now or being bullish on the ticker overall is because there's very limited room to the upside until we break 136. So as you can see here, the line I have here, 136.25. If we fail to break 136.25 and hold over that line, upside for Nvidia is very limited, even though we have some clear technical patterns that indicate upside. The double bottom neckline here, which would be that nice little break, and several gap close that we need to complete because we already had the downside gaps filled, and we'd have a gap to fill at 138 and then another gap to fill at 141. But those to me will not be into effect until we're able to clear 136 with some volume. So if you guys are looking for an ideal setup, if we are able to open up Monday's trading session and break through this 136 zone and hold it with a couple of hourly candles, ideally 2, but I would be in the camp that Nvidia is going to go full bull for at least the short time period that we're going to be watching it for that. And that's going to unlock a nice retest potentially to close both the 138 gap and the 141 gap, or 141.80 gap as well. And that could put us in a position to retest this double top zone at 146. Now, I wouldn't be so bold to say that that's going to happen next week, but I do think if we get that 136 close that we will see 141 in a relatively short period of time. 146 is not the pipe dream, but it's the grand slam target if we get that break. But 141, I do have a reasonable suspicion that we'll be able to break through and get to that zone, assuming we break the 136.25. So again, Nvidia 136.25 is a key level because if we're able to break that, that puts those other 2 gap fill targets in hand. Now, before we close this out, I wanted to give you guys a look into the daily chart of Nvidia, and we'll take a look at another ticker prior to closing this out. But Nvidia was very interesting because this is actually something that we were considering taking in our Discord server for one of our account challenges. I was heavily debating on this and the final ticker we're going to look at after I speak on this. But in the account challenge, the reason why I did not take the Nvidia entry was specifically because of the limited upside to that 136 zone. Because what happened today, we rejected at 135.80 something. So that right there shows that 136 level is very, very strong. And until we're able to break through that, there's no reason for us to get into that trade. Even looking here on the daily, you see how important that level is. We've rejected from it several times, dating back to July when we had our first couple of breakouts, June and July actually. So pretty significant rejections from that level before we finally got our breakout. When we first got that breakout, look what happened. We ripped all the way up here and retested it, bounced from that zone, retested it, caught a little bit of support, and then we lost it. So again, 136, very, very important level for Nvidia, and I think we're going to be excited to see what goes on there. Finally, the last tip we're going to take a look at is Apple. And Apple is actually the position we did take in our account challenge. We got a nice little 20% run up on that one. We could have held it for much, much, much more because we did 250 calls, or 250 calls, sorry. And I had a target zone, as you can see here, at 254, and we blew through that zone here on the hourly chart. So taking a look, we had the same setup that we were talking about on Nvidia and Amazon, double bottom neckline break with a resistance level up top. And the reason why I went with Apple instead of Nvidia at the time was because, like I just mentioned, Nvidia had a little too much resistances immediately after the neckline break, where Apple had quite a bit of room to run, considering the neckline was at 250. and we were able to get up to 254 prior to the end of day close. I would have loved to have grabbed the entry here on the daily candle or the hourly candle 246, but again, I wanted to see some confirmation and ensure that we got the neckline break on the double bottom to validate it, and lo and behold, we did that. So again, this is one I'm going to give you guys some insight into. Link to our Discord in the description of this video, as well as in our channel box, so make sure you guys check that out. Our account challenge is going on. It's been a blast on that, and other than that, we have other things we're just absolutely crushing it on within the server. But I just want to give you guys some insight. I know this video is a little bit longer than some of the ones I've done over the last few weeks, but we had a lot of stuff happen over the last 2 days, and the market leading up into a huge week, the last full week of 2024. I think it was important to give you guys some look into some pretty solid setups that I've been eyeing. Now, again, my favorite ones, Nvidia, Amazon, as well as Microsoft forming something that's pretty simple, but a lot of that is wholly dependent on SPY and QQQ cooperating and holding the levels they need to hold. But in any case, I've been Trade Runner. This is Trading Analytics. Again, link to our Discord in the description of this video as well as on the channel bio, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.